All right, take four. Hi, my name is Callum, and I am looking at anxiety disorders in children, and specifically separation anxiety disorder. Because yeah, so the term anxiety disorder is used in reference to a number of different mental illnesses. So that can include generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, social anxiety disorder, separation anxiety disorder, and specific phobias. And while they're all determined by the generalized term, each disorder can actually be identified by its own unique specific symptoms, despite the amount of medications that exist to combat these sort of disorders. Anxiety disorders continue to be one of the most prevalent issues among children, with up to 30% of children and adolescents suffering. So yeah. Now, how do they develop? To believe that, well, obviously there's a huge amount of contributing factors into what shapes a person's life, that anxiety disorders generally stem from broadly grouped categories of genetic, environmental, and child factors. So, sorry, sec. Alright. In terms of genetic influence, studies show that children who come from parents with some form of anxiety disorder actually end up being 7 times more likely to inherit one themselves, and or 40% higher chance of developing anxiety disorder. Now, environmental. So when obviously it's common knowledge that the environment that surrounds somebody shapes them, but there are some specific influences that can actually aid the development of anxiety disorder, as opposed to not. That include confrontational life events, being exposed to negative information, or traumatic events, being witness to anxious response. Now, why these factors can and often, are often part of many child's lives. Uh, those who have anxiety disorders are far more likely to notice that sort of information. There are also some behaviours that parents do, like being overprotective, that while it's done with the best intentions, can actually support and maintain anxiety. So it's due to the actions like that taking away the opportunity for the child to face anxiety-provoking situations, which they need to overcome it. And child factors is the next one. Another important factor in the development of anxiety disorders is the child's temperament. If a child is prone to feelings of fear, distress, withdrawal in the early years of life, the risk of developing into anxiety disorder in adolescence is increased. So if a child processes information incorrectly or perceives unfamiliar or confusing situations as threatening, that can actually lead to them being more aware of potentially threatening environmental cues in the future. Yeah. So next, how can they be identified? So as a general go-to, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, that's obviously pretty handy. It can be used to help identify disorders among children in class that are living with undiagnosed, if they're undiagnosed. It's a useful tool because it's got different descriptions, different symptoms of all the major anxiety-related disorders. And beyond that, obviously you got to determine whether it's an anxiety disorder if they're just anxious, because everyone gets anxious. So that's getting to know your student, documenting behavior. So, look for how often it happens, how long it lasts, how intense it is. Beyond that, you can seek professional assistance from specialized sources like doctors or psychologists or the likes. Now, separation anxiety. I've selected it because, it interests me and it's something that I think I could utilize, like in my teaching in early childhood, especially because lots of kids, don't want to be away from mum or dad. Now, separation anxiety disorder is characterized by extreme anxiety or worrying about being separated from home, a caregiver, or separation from any primary attachment figure. And it's conceptualized as developmentally inappropriate distress during a separation from a significant other. So it usually develops into disorders by between 7 and 9, and 5% of children below the age of 11 have it. So it's noticeable that symptoms of separation anxiety are, or the noticeable symptoms rather, are being distress, obviously, intense complaints during and prior to anticipated separation, bad dreams about being separated, following or shadowing primary attachments, like following mum through the house, where just always following, and sleeping or not alone, sleeping with family members and stuff, like not wanting to be alone. So children diagnosed with separation anxiety are more reluctant and sometimes refuse to go to school or anywhere without parents. So it's important to note that this is the main difference is that all these symptoms are alleviated in the presence of mum or dad or whoever their to attach to. Now, it's important to identify a disorder like this because it's actually been shown to have a general risk factor for a number of anxiety disorders in adulthood, as well as specific risks for panic disorder in adulthood. And with that identification, it can actually continue on through adulthood, which is obviously not developmentally appropriate. Another reason that is critical, is so the child doesn't go on undiagnosed, because if they do, then their actions and behaviors can be misconstrued as like being naughty or bad, where in fact they're actually just direct reactions to a situation that they find themselves in. Now, some considerations and accommodations teachers can make is what I'm going to get to next, because as a teacher, it's my duty to ensure that all students are given an equitable chance at learning. So that means getting to know students, which means knowing if there's an issue, how to address the issue, and what supports are out there. And so obviously with lots of these as well, they're applicable to a number of students, so it can be part of the universal design for your classroom. Then also they're all intended on being positively impacting the students, both like academically, in-class participation, social skills, self-awareness, self-control, self-esteem, and without adequate supports, socializing for them can be super daunting and traumatic. So in order for them to feel comfortable, reinforce, it's a safe classroom, try and minimize stress and anxiety as much as you can, and build those positive relationships with parents and caregivers. Help them diagnose problems and seek treatment. So just to go through some specifics, first we got, be a familiar face. So every time they come to class, they know that you're going to be there, and if you can be there before them every time, it's super helpful because, they can come to expect something, and with that, it's a consistency. Next is easing them into it. So that's start off by going for maybe a couple hours a day, and then going a bit longer away from mum and dad each time. Let them be there at the start, take them away. Creating a chill out zone, it's a great one, which is, this is utilize an area either inside or outside the classroom where the child can go to calm down, relax. It's going to be, obviously, you probably want it to be outside the classroom because the whole classroom should be a safe space, but make do with what you can. Have a safe adult. So this is someone they can go and talk to, like the counselor or whatever. Someone they're comfortable with. They can go and talk to and sit down, be around. They can teach them different techniques for handling sort of situations, that sort of stuff. Don't take the bait. So if they keep complaining about the same thing, you're like, oh, I don't know, where's mum? Am I going to be alright? Is mum going to come pick me up? You can reassure them, but don't continuously reassure them. Just, let them know you're here for them if they need you. You've seen this happen before, they've gotten through it, they can do it. Mum will be here at the end of the day to get you. That's enough reassurance. I don't need more of that. The whole school approach, this comes back to consistency again. So it's important that when you're developing the strategies in your class, that all the work being put in and the progress that students actually making isn't thrown out the window the moment that their regular teacher isn't in charge or isn't there, because in order for any implementation to be successful, obviously they need to be consistent. Incorporate relaxation methods into class, so it's like the breathing, muscle relaxation, that sort of stuff, which is going to be beneficial to the whole class, obviously, because heaps of students can feel stressed or anxious. And other than that, it normalizes the process that the student with SAD actually would have to go through to calm down, which is great. Diverting attention is another one. So, drawing, writing, building blocks, that sort of stuff. Encourage small group interactions is another one. So, have a student work with them, and then when they're comfortable with that, add some more students until they're working collaboratively and cooperatively. Give warning about change. So that's definitely another great one. If they need to go to the next class, give them warning. If you're not going to be here, let them know. Just give them time to prepare. Encourage attendance engagements. You want to incentivize going to school. So, that could be easy, have stickers. Every day you come, you get a sticker. For each day you don't come, you lose a sticker. When you get 10, you get a prize. And there's positive consequence for coming to school, negative consequence for not coming to school. Teamwork, so work with parents, get to know them, and make sure that your supports reflect the ones that they have at home, because consistency. Comfort items, so let students have an item that can calm them down, that reminds them of the person they're being separated from. And documentation. We've been through documentation before. So there are, of course, heaps of strategies out there that teachers can employ in the classroom. But it's important to understand that no two students with separation anxiety disorder are actually going to be the same, nor they react in the same way. So with the whole strategy maybe well suited for one student you've had in the past, doesn't necessarily mean they'll work on one in the future. Don't rely on inductive reasoning, get to know your students, establish strategies that will help them progress and develop to the best of your ability. Thank you.